Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. It's your host, Kaylee here, and you are tuning in to episode number 226. I have a feeling this week's topic is going to resonate in a very special way for you because of the fact that you are a listener here. I already know you're a lot like me. You're a visionary, and because of that, you can see a reality that isn't even painted quite yet. You ideate and dream big, and you're energetically fueled by the process of architecting your dream from a blank canvas into a gorgeous work of tangible art. You're an entrepreneur, and what that journey might require of you is tireless work, huge risks, financial loss, embarrassment, frustration, and a shit ton of grit. Building a business is not for the faint of heart. In fact, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, approximately 20% of new businesses fail during the first 2 years of being open. 45% fail during the first 5 years, and 65% during the first 10 years. Only 25% of new businesses make it to 15 years or more. I don't know about you, but hearing these statistics is always a bit shocking to me, especially considering that meanwhile, the U.S. Census Bureau reports that 5.5 million new businesses were started in 2023 last year, which is the highest number on record, a whopping 56.7% increase from previous years. And P.S., just in case you were wondering, top states of new business opens are Florida, California, and Texas. So I can only surmise that the rate of failing businesses will be multiplying in the next 5 to 10 years. And why is this important? Because your competition is basically doubling over the next decade. And because essentially what this tells me is you're a unicorn. So bravo. Not only do you thrive in the turbulence of building and scaling a business, but in some way, you take pride and pleasure in the struggle. It's so fascinating to hear the stories of women like you, women who have broken the mold, women that I featured here on the Fierce Factor podcast. Lori Robertson, who is a professional race car driver, Hollywood actress, and emergency mountain rescue nurse, now a respected thought leader in aesthetics. Women like Jessica Christie, who was the black sheep of her family, took a leap of faith to start beauty culture and grew exponentially in spite of some of the most horrendous setbacks. And that would have stopped most people in their tracks and completely sideswiped them from pursuing their dream. And women like Heidi Hermel, who transformed from family practice NP to running a powerhouse business generating over $5 million in revenue per year in just a few short years. It's pretty remarkable to see the possibility for all of us and to really take inventory of the similarities that we all share. I always say game knows game. And when I see other women crushing the game, even if I'm jealous for a minute, I'm always inspired. And in some ways, I'm also relieved because I recognize that I'm not the only one who's obsessed with progress and pretty psychopathically unstoppable in pursuit of my goals. One thing I know for certain is that our tenacious and passionate spirits as female entrepreneurs are both our blessing and in some ways also our curse. And that polarity is what I really want to dig into with you today. One of the most common questions I'm asked is, how did she do it? Meaning, how did the most successful women do it all? And the truth is, they don't. They have mastered the art of 3 things. Number 1, focus. Number 2, personal development. And number 3, team building. In other words, when they cultivate talent on their team, their business grows. That is where they prioritize their focus. And becoming a leader who can attract and retain top talent is where they invest in their own personal growth. It's a very simple formula. And I tell women this until I'm blue in the face, but execution of these strategies is so much easier said than done. And the reason being is that we as high growth female entrepreneurs have a little syndrome that creeps into our life the minute something starts working well. And that is entrepreneurial boredom. Let me explain. Imagine this hypothetical scenario. You opened your practice and it was just you. All you wanted was to fill your schedule and to take care of your patients and do the thing that you love so much. You hire a team member to support you administratively, and you start seeing more and more patients. And eventually your schedule becomes full. So what's your next move? So I want you to go through this exercise with me. Is it option A? You elegantly raise your prices and start focusing only on serving higher income patients. Option B, you take your earnings and invest in an expensive rebrand. Or option C, you rebrand, hire a couple team members, and expand your location or move because now you've outgrown your current situation. So I'll give you a minute to answer that question. The reality is settling in isn't in our DNA, meaning there probably isn't a time in your life that you set a goal, achieved it, and then went ahead and celebrated it and checked that box. Nope, you raised the bar. I know for me as a college athlete, I was never going to settle. I just wanted to make a team in college, right? Then I wanted to make the team. Then my goal was to start on that team. Then it was to be the captain of that team. And then it was to win a national championship as a captain of that team. So it's funny how insidious goal setting can be. I would be bored out of my mind if I didn't have a real challenge in my life to pursue, a problem to solve. It's what gives me purpose. I need variety and excitement. I need to access my most creative energy and dream of possibility and then make it come true. And all of this sounds great when we're talking about playing sports or earning a degree, but this kind of need for constant goal evolution can actually be a detriment to a small and growing business, especially one that is scaling through team members. Because when it comes to scaling up, the most impactful power lever is the one that no one can see. It's the foundation building, the ticky-tacky administrative structure and accountability setting, the systems, the processes. For an athlete, this was my double days, the weight training, the agility, the climbing sand dunes until I puked. It's putting the grunt work in that no one knows about except for you. In our business, it's developing SOPs, standard operating procedures. It's getting good at having hard conversations. And it's being so vulnerable that we question our own worthiness. This is where we start to find ourselves in the drudgery of the mundane. And it's not because things aren't going well. In fact, it's the opposite. We love a good challenge. So as soon as we start to see traction or we feel the untouchable relief of something running on autopilot, we get bored. We see everyone else around us on social media posting about their new build out, the next location, the new team members, the rebrand, the new training academy or mastermind. And we start to get FOMO, but not like regular FOMO, fear of missing out. It's the fear of manageable operations. The minute something feels easy, we either build ourselves a new project or we start breaking things that are working to give ourselves another problem to solve. And listen, this is an insidious process because it's often so subconscious. Another reason why I love biannual strategic planning is because you can actually hold yourself accountable to staying on track to your own goals, especially the ones that no one knows you're working on. Those can so easily get pushed to the back burner and yet still burn our mental energy and capacity. And these are usually the game-changing projects that will set the stage for the future iteration of our business and life. And this is where the women who I work with who make $1 million plus a year take home, separate themselves. They stay disciplined to the inside work. They are obsessed with moving the chess pieces to strengthen the existing infrastructure to the point that everything else is delegated or automated, then they multiply. Where most of us go wrong is we try to add components to strengthen the weaknesses in our existing system. So maybe it looks like this. One location isn't fully booked, so we expand to another location, assuming we'll be busier over there. And that almost never works. Or one provider isn't matching our capacity, so we add another one, assuming that they'll capture and attract more clients. And that almost never works. One retail line isn't exactly crushing it, so we add another one or two or three, when the reality is we, as an ecosystem in our business, couldn't properly educate, sell, and create value with the first line we brought in. And as you can imagine, now we have more products, services, and pain points to sell to. And so we end up adding more complexities to the business, which keeps us spinning in a hamster wheel of being busy and quote unquote in demand, executing on operational tasks instead of spending our time on strategic CEO decisions that put real cash in our bank account. And not to mention, create time to invest that money into growing assets, which is where the real wealth is made. My goal isn't to pick on anyone here. If this is you or you're feeling triggered by this conversation, listen, we've all been there. But it's time to really think about the beauty of building a boring, steady, foundationally strong business, because it's the fruitful growth that happens from this place that fosters true entrepreneurial freedom. So here's a suggestion. The next time you have another big idea, what if you ran it through a little filter, little litmus test to ask yourself if you're pivoting because something needs a little more love, or because it's time to double down on what's already running on autopilot, or option B, you're adding to compensate for the lack of effectiveness of option A. So in other words, am I asking myself how I can make this better and less reliant on me as a provider? Option one is a boring, hard look at what I need to improve in my systems. And option B is a dream that ultimately will put you back in the same situation that you're in now. Ultimately, my advice is, when in doubt, choose boring. Okay, leader, don't forget, we're freaking rocking summer school and have several live sessions still available to you. And all of our summer school workshops are available on demand through the end of September, including the following sessions: the white glove client experience, elevate your guest service standards; Ride It Right, crafting job descriptions that attract top talent; goal deconstruction, transforming employees into highly productive entrepreneurs; marketing mastery, building your next marketing campaign; prioritize like a pro, turn your to-do list into momentum; systematize for success, essential business systems; mastering on-camera confidence, techniques for effective engagement; meeting mastery, plan and execute high-value team meetings; and finally, a bonus session with me on September 13th, adopting a CEO mindset. Remember, each session is available for only $197, and the entire bundle is available at $40 off per session. You can sign up at klcconsultants.com/summer school. Okay, leader, reminder that those times you feel sluggish, you're slow, you're in the muck of business building, those are the times that you are planting the seeds for the fruitful harvest down the road. So stay focused and disciplined to the CEO tasks that will create exponential traction for you. In other words, save the flashy, sexy stuff for your friends on TikTok. But for us leaders, boring is hot as hell. That's all I have for today. I'll chat with you same place, same time next week. Listen, leader, if you're vibing with me here, hang tight, because I have a brand new resource for you. You are a successful, confident, powerful woman who just isn't into being average. No, you have a calling, and part of that calling is requiring you to level up. And I know that if you're working to cross the next $1 million milestone in your business, you need to be in the right circles. And perhaps that's why you found us. I'd love to invite you to join The Blueprint, a weekly resource for inspired, provocative thinkers who are taking this conversation to the next level. Get access to free business tools, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me and my expert team, and of course, a masterfully curated circle of women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to klcconsultants.com/blueprint. It's time to elevate. See you there, goddess.